Okay, good morning and welcome to Not Your Daughter's Yoga on Tuesday, November 9th. We have a lovely sunny day here. I will ask you to go ahead and head to your mat if you're not already there and get yourself lying down on your back. Once you're down, you can just lift your hips ever so slightly and then settle them back down. Maybe give them a little wiggle. Make sure you've got lots of room for your lower back. You could choose to stretch out long on your mat, take up all kinds of room, or you could plant your feet just below your hips and allow your knees to relax in towards each other, taking a slightly more restorative posture, whichever makes you happy. You can have your arms lying by your side, or sometimes I like to keep one hand on my chest and one hand on my belly, just because it helps me focus in on my breath a little. So we'll start out with a little bit of breath work. So the big reset, you've come to your mat and you've made time and space for yourself. And now it's time to remind yourself that you've crossed a threshold, and this time and this space is for you and you alone. So take a couple of really nice big breaths, inhaling through the nose, holding all the way at the top for a moment, and then sighing it out. Again, inhale, hold for just a moment, and then sigh. One more time, inhale, holding for just a moment, sigh it out. As you're sighing it out, you're letting everything that has led up to this moment in your day, you're just letting it all go. So you're letting go busyness, chores, things you had to do this morning, things you have to do later, people who are annoying you. I've got someone annoying me right now. I want that person gone. So I'm going to breathe them away. So inhale, hold for just a moment, exhale, let it go. Everything else can wait, and everything else is inconsequential right now. And once you've taken those nice big resetting breaths, you can start to settle into your practice breath. So a nice inhale through the nose. Hold for a moment and exhale. I like to use a count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, exhale, 2, 3, 4. You find a rhythm for your breath that works for you. So it could be a little faster or a little slower than what I've suggested. Just find something that is sustainable and focus all of your attention on that breath for the time being. Taking a few more of those big breaths. Nice and slow. Trying to make the inhale roughly equal to the exhale. Flowing back and forth. Inhale and exhale. And once you've had time to generate your breath and you've got that rhythm going, we will start to add in a little body scan and a little bit of gentle movement. So starting in with the toes, give them a little wiggle. Hello, toes. And then you can point and flex your feet a few times. I was going to say point and feet your flex. Point your feet and flex and release. And then you can lift one leg at a time and take some circles in the ankle. Keep that breath flowing. And then reverse. And then you can switch legs and take some ankle circles on the other side. And reverse. Big circles with the knee. Just circling the lower leg, and then you can pick up the other leg and just circle from the knee. Sorry, I should have cued that a little more specifically. So you're just taking the whole lower leg around in some gentle circles. Good. And then one at a time, I'd like you to lift your leg, straighten your leg out, and then bend it, straighten, bend a little. Ooh, that was noisy. I don't know about you, but my knee was very noisy. So I'm going to set my right down, and then I'm going to pick up my left leg. Just bend the knee, straighten the leg just a few times. And I'm going to plant my feet again, and I'm going to hug my knees up toward my chest. So my right knee toward my right armpit, my left knee toward my left armpit. I'm just going to squeeze them in, feeling a little bit of extension in the hips here. Good. And then I'll release, and I'll either stretch my legs out long again or plant them again. Again, shift the hips on the mat. So I'm just going to wiggle back and forth, just rocking the hips, noticing how that feels. Passing over the belly and just noticing the belly is feeling soft, gently rising and falling. Your chest as well. Spine is nice and long on the mat. Coming up to the shoulders, making sure that they're long and down away from the ears. Arms are relaxed. They could be at your side or on your torso. In any event, I want you to bend at the elbows and then extend your arms out. Bend and extend. One more time. Bend them in and extend. You can take circles with the wrists. And reverse the direction. Squeeze the fists and release. Squeeze and release. And squeeze and release. Checking in with the throat. Just swallow, clear your throat. Make sure that your throat is feeling nice and relaxed. Stopping in to check on the jaw. If you find that your teeth are gritted together, open your mouth. You can open it really exaggerated a few times. Let the jaw relax. And separate the budding surfaces of your teeth. Feeling your face nice and soft and relaxed. And just feeling the gentle weight of your head on your mat. And the force of gravity just pulling you down. And of course, with your breath, you are nice and soft. No resistance, no effort here, just breathing. Staying for a couple more breaths. And slowly roll over onto your right side. Pausing for just a moment, getting your bearings, and then gently bring yourself up to a seated position. And you can sit up nice and tall. So your choice, whether you would prefer to sit cross-legged or with your legs extended out in front of you. In either case, Your sits bones are planted on the mat. You're sitting up tall. Shoulders are broad down away from the ears. And there is that invisible string pulling you straight up from your skull. So your spinal column is nice and long. Take an inhale to begin. Exhale, lower the chin to the chest. Inhale, head can come through center, and gently gaze up, noticing and respecting the range of movement. Exhale, coming back through center and down. Inhale, back through center and up. Exhale, and down. Inhale, coming back to center, and then you can begin to take circles with the head and neck. Nice, big, slow circles in whichever direction you choose. And then reverse the motion. And bring your head back up to center. We'll do a little bit of a stretch through the neck. So I'll mirror you with your left hand. Reach up and over your head. And then bring that hand over the right ear and allow the weight of your hand to just draw your head over to the left gently. So you're not pulling, just using that weight for traction. Pushing the shoulder down in the opposite direction will also help maximize that stretch. Breathing into it. And release. And then the other hand up over the head. Nice and gentle, pulling the left shoulder down away from the ear, allowing the weight of the hand to provide gentle traction. Breathing into it. One more breath. And then you can bring your head up to center again. Bring the arms out into a T. Bring the left arm underneath the right. Your choice could be eagle arms or hands to shoulders. In either case, push the elbows up, duck the forehead forward and down. And I want you to visualize the space between your shoulder blades and see if you can imagine widening the space between your shoulder blades as your upper back curls. So you're really pushing back into that space and getting a nice stretch across the trapezius. Those muscles for me get very, very tense, so I just love this. Nice, big, slow breaths. And you can release, arms open wide. This time we'll take the right under the left. Again, your choice, 2 shoulders or eagle wrap. In either case, push the elbows up, duck the forehead forward and down. See if you can breathe into the space between shoulder blades and expand that space. And release, arms come out wide. We're going to take the left hand down to the mat, walk it out to the side. Right arm is reaching up and over. Try and keep your right hip driving down into the mat. So if it's riding up, make sure that right hip stays in contact with the mat as you stretch in the opposite direction. So maximizing that stretch, breathing into it. And coming back up to center, bring the hand down, stretching up and over. On the other side, again, imagine your upper body and your lower body are going in 2 directions. So the hip is driving down while the chest and arm are reaching up and over. Head and neck relax. Nice big breath. And release, coming back up to center. We'll take a spinal twist. So your choice, legs could be extended or you could stay cross-legged. In either case, make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. Bring the right hand to the left knee or the outside of the left knee, left hand behind. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, twisting toward the left. Relaxing the head and neck, whichever version you pick. Make sure that you're not sort of trying to crank yourself around from the head. This twist is coming right from the base of the spine. Each exhale, get a little softer. Melt into it. Last breath. And release. And then taking it on the other side. So if your legs are extended, set it up the other way. Bring the left hand to the outside of the right knee, right hand behind. Inhale to sit tall. Exhale and twist. Again, check in with the head and neck. Make sure it's relaxed. Excuse me while I just change my view. One more breath. And release. If you don't already have your legs extended, at this point, you can extend them out, zip them up, and pulling the toes actively back toward you. So you're really sitting up tall. Your sits bones are in contact with the ground, and you're thinking about sitting up as straight as you can. We call this staff pose. So you're really nice and tall. On an inhale, on the exhale, you walk your hands forward and come into a gentle forward fold, making sure that you're getting long and going out rather than just curling in. Coming to a place where you're feeling activation through the backs of your legs and possibly even into the back. Saying hello to the hamstrings. You don't have to reach, this isn't pulling yourself down. This is just a gentle hello. Breathing into it. One more breath. And coming back up. I'd like you to rock back on your tailbone and keep your hands at your side. And then pick your shins up, bring your shins parallel with the ground. So coming into boat. So if you prefer to keep your hands at your side, you can come into a supported Navasana, or you can challenge yourself by bringing your arms parallel and coming into a more active Navasana. So really pulling your chest up and forward. As some yoga teachers would say, shine your collarbones forward. I'm not a big fan of that metaphor, but hey, if it helps. Staying in our boat for one more breath. And you can release, bring your feet down and bring them around to the side. We're going to come on to our hands and knees. Getting ready for our cat and cow. So engaging the lower belly and really flattening the lower back to begin with. On an inhale, drop the belly, hips come up, looking forward and maybe up. Exhale, reverse the motion, push up between the shoulder blades, drop the hips and head. Inhale, moving through to cow, respecting the range of motion of your head and neck. Exhale, coming through to cat, really pushing up between the shoulder blades. Oh, that feels so nice. Inhale, coming to cow. Exhale through to cat. You know the routine. Take 3 more rounds with your own breath. Get funky with it if you like. I like to stretch to the side. Add in a lateral movement. Hang out in cat for a few seconds. whatever feels right in your spine. Just nice, slow, fluid movement. And when you're done, we'll meet back up in a neutral tabletop position. And you can curl your toes under, walk your hands back toward your knees. And you could stay right here with your hands on the mat in front of you, or bring your hands onto your thighs and come upright for a brief foot stretch. Ooh, that was an interesting breath. My knees are very noisy today. Good, one more breath. And release, bring the hands back to the mat, walking them forward under the shoulders and just gently fluttering the feet against the top of the mat. And then we're going to set the hands a little further forward, maybe 6 inches forward of where they were. Open your heart toward the ground. Again, you can turn the toes under, coming into our modification for downward facing dog. Let the head and neck relax. Really open the chest here. Breathing into it. And then your choice. You can stay in this modification for a couple more breaths, or if you prefer to come up onto your feet for standing downward facing dog, you can progress to that now. If you're coming up, pedal the legs out. If you're on your knees, just focus on opening your chest, strong hands and fingers, strong breath. Stay for 2 more breaths. One more. And release. You're going to make your way onto your feet at the top of the mat in a way that makes sense for you. And coming up to stand. Good. So feet are narrow hip width apart. Abdomen is engaged. Shoulders are down away from the ears, and your hands can rest at your side. Feeling yourself nice and tall in that balancing sweet spot. So not too far forward, not too far back. Just feeling very steady. Inhale the arms up overhead. You could gaze toward your palms if you like. Exhale, big swan dive, gentle bend in the knees, coming all the way down. You're going to hang out in this forward fold for a moment. So you could cradle one arm and the other if you like, keeping that gentle bend in the knee. Beginning to feel some sensation there, and you can just add in some gentle swaying movement. Gentle, gentle swaying in the breeze. If you like a stronger breeze, you could add a little bounce there if you want. And then coming to center in stillness, we'll take the hands to the shins. So inhale, coming halfway up. Exhale, folding forward. We're going to do that a couple of times. So inhale, coming halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. One more time. Inhale it up halfway. Exhale, fold. This time we're going to bring the hands down onto the mat. Step the feet all the way to the back of the mat. So big step, lower onto the knees and untuck the toes. So coming into a plank position, making sure that there's a nice straight line from your shoulders all the way back to the knees. So you're very straight through the torso. Take a big inhale to prepare. On your exhale, squeeze your elbows in toward your torso. Lower yourself down slowly and with control. So thighs, hips, belly, chest, and head come down. Good. We're going to rise up into cobra. So don't press into the hands, just have them gently resting on the mat. Inhale, the head comes up, lifting from the lower back, staying for a breath. Exhale, forehead down. Again, we're going to take 2 more of those. Inhaling up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale, coming up to cobra. And Exhale, bring the head down. You can turn your toes under, push back up onto your knees, and then your choice, either kneeling or standing downward facing dog. In either case, really extending that chest toward the ground, strong fingers pressing into the mat. Big breaths here. One more breath. And exhale, and make your way back onto your feet again, coming to stand at the top of the mat. Good. So again, feet narrow, hip width apart, standing nice and tall. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Bringing the fingertips down. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Take the feet all the way to the back of the mat. Untuck the toes once you come onto the knees. So big inhale to prepare here. Exhale, squeezing the elbows, coming all the way down onto the belly again. So we come back to our belly and we're on a mission. So you're going to rest your forehead on the mat, and this time bring your hands back by your hips with your palms up, getting ready to do some work in locust. So inhale, head comes up like it does in cobra. Exhale, lifting everything else up. So arms, feet, legs, it all comes up. Breathing into it. One more breath. And release. Hands can come underneath the forehead, bend at the knees, and windshield wiper the legs a little. Nice release for the lower back. Good. And release the legs long in the mat again. If you didn't last time, make sure that your toes are touching, zipping those legs up together. Hands can come back by the hips again. Inhale, head comes up. Exhale, rising up off the mat with everything else you got. Big breath. I know this is big work, so breathe into it. One more breath. And release. Everything comes down. Again, hands can come under the forehead, bend at the knees, windshield wiper to release. And legs go long. Bring the toes together. Head comes down. Hands down by the side. Inhale up. Exhale. Rise up one last time. I know, big work here. Breathe into it. Last breath. And release. Whew, I put you through your paces today. Bring your hands back underneath your forehead. Bend at the knees. Windshield wiper the legs. And release the legs long. So you can bring your head back up again, like you were coming into Sphinx. We're going to bring the left arm in front of us, horizontal, across your body. Push up onto your left hip. So you're going to make sure that you have a nice straight line from your left shoulder down to your left knees. Your legs are bent and your feet are behind you to provide you with a little bit of balance. Make sure that your left elbow is directly below your left shoulder so you can lift. So bring the right hand onto your hip, and we're going to do some lifts here. So inhale, push your hips toward the ceiling. Exhale, relax them down, just hovering them off the mat. Inhale, pushing up. Exhale, relax down. Inhale, up. Exhale, relax. Two more. Inhale, push it up. Exhale, down. Last one. Inhale, push it up and stay for a breath. Really pushing those hips as high as they can go. Exhale, relax down. Good work. We'll come through the belly and take it on the other side. So right arm parallel in front of you, rolling onto the right hip, making sure the right elbow is directly below the right shoulder. Your body is in one long line from shoulder back to knees, and your legs are bent with your feet behind you. Bring the left hand to the hip. Inhale those hips up. Exhale, hover them down. Inhale up. Hover up. Hover, pushing those high. Hover one last one, and we're going to stay. Inhale, pushing those hips high. Stay for a breath. See if you can push them even higher. Exhale and release. And coming back onto the belly. So both elbows underneath their respective shoulder. And we're just going to stay in cobra for a second. So your forearms are extended long in front of you. Elbows are beneath shoulders and sitting up in cobra. If you're finding this is a bit much extension for you, come forward out of your fold. If you really like this, you want to try going deeper, push into the hands and rise up, your choice. If you take on something and you're like, nope, don't want that, then just come out of it. Just staying for a few breaths. One last breath. Good. And you can bring your forehead down, hands come beneath the shoulders, turn the toes under, push up and back, coming into your version of downward facing dog, opening that chest toward the ground. Staying for a couple of breaths. One last breath. Up on the toes, bend the knees, walking the feet toward the hands and rolling up to stand. Good. So coming up to the top of your mat, feet are now hip width apart again. Your hands are on your hips. This time we're going to inhale the right knee up. Exhale, step that leg to the back of the mat, and you're going to leave that foot on a diagonal. So your left foot is over on a left track. Your right foot is on a separate parallel track, but it's also placed on a diagonal. We're going to come into warrior one. So inhale the arms up. You could have your palms together or the palms parted. Exhale, lunge into that front leg, coming into warrior one. If you're feeling a little bit of twist in the back, you can just gently bend that back knee a little, making sure that you have lots of room for the lower back. So lunging, big lunge here. Hold it for 2 more breaths. 1 more. And we will bring our right foot onto the toes and turn that right foot forward. Bring the hands down to the mat and bring your left hand to the inside of the left foot. And I'd like you to just lower your hips from here. So we're still in a standing lunge, and we're just in this lunge with the support of our hands. I'm going to stay here for a few breaths. If you wanted to try something different, bring your right hand underneath your face and inhale the left arm up, coming into a lunge twist. Just something to try. If you don't like it, that's okay. Just come back out. 1 more breath. And then I'll invite you, if you like, to roll the right side of your mat over so that you can bring that right knee down onto more cushioning. Untuck the right toes. Bring your hands up onto the left shin. And here we are ready for our lunge. Just making sure that the left ankle is well ahead of the left knee. You can also have your block handy by your instep, ready to go. So inhale, thinking about getting tall. Sorry, I can't talk today. Exhale, sink those hips forward and down. So you can stay exactly like this. This is great. If you want to come further down, bring your left arm to the inside of the left knee. Right arm comes down, so you could come onto your block. Or you could bring your hands down onto the floor. whatever works for you. Just finding a place where you can find stillness and just sit with the sensation. Big, deep breaths. One more breath. Good, and release. So bring your hips back, draw your left foot back by your right, and set your block off to the side for a moment. Untuck the mat, and we'll bring our knees as wide as the mat, toes together, hips are on the heels. Walk your hands forward, coming into a little child's pose here. Stretching those arms forward and long. If you like, you could walk on your fingertips over to the right. Imagine that you're drawing your left hip back and away. So pulling your hip and shoulder in the opposite direction to maximize that stretch. Breathe into it. And then if you like, walk your hands through center. Walk them over to the left. And again, left arm reaching up and over. Right hip going down and back. Breathing into it. And then fingertips come to center. Coming up onto hands and knees. Turning the toes under. Your choice of downward facing dog. So sliding the hands forward. Opening the heart. Relaxing the head and neck. Really just big, broad chest here, strong fingers. One more breath. And we'll come back up to meet at the top of the mat on our feet. Good. So we'll take it on the other side this time. So feet narrow hip width apart, standing nice and tall, hands on the hips. Inhale to begin. Exhale, step that left foot back. Make sure that the left foot is on a diagonal, and make sure that your feet are on two separate tracks here. Good. So your right ankle is well ahead of your right knee. You're going to turn your chest toward the front. Inhale the arms up. They could be palms together or separated, and lunge into that front leg. It does put a bit of a twist in the lower back, so you could just gently bend that back leg a little. Good, nice and strong, lunging forward. One more big breath, so you can lunge a little bit lower. Good, and we're gonna bring our hands forward. Right hand comes to the inside of the right knee, and turn your left foot onto the toes. And coming into our standing lunge. So you can stay right here, really bending that right knee, allowing your hands to come onto the mat. So stay for a couple of breaths here, or if you like, plant your left hand below your face and inhale the right arm up, coming into a twisting lunge. Just an option, not necessity. Wherever you are, big breaths here. One more breath. Good. So both hands are on the instep. Lower your left knee. You can grab your mat, fold it over first if you like extra cushioning. Lower that left knee, untuck the toes, and bring your hands back up onto the right thigh. Make sure your block is ready to go by the right instep. So getting nice and tall, making sure that the right ankle is ahead of the right knee. Lunging forward and down. So allowing your hips to relax forward. You're not pressing them forward. You're just allowing gravity to do the work here. You can stay exactly like this, or you could bring your arms on the inside of the right knee, coming onto a block, or even coming onto your hands on the mat. Your choice. No matter where you are, nice, big, slow breaths. Taking what you need, absolutely modifying in whatever way your body is asking you to. Couple more big breaths there. One more. And release. So we'll draw the right foot back by the left. Set the block off to the side, organize the mat, and this time we'll keep the knees together. Hips are on heels. Walk your hands forward. And again, coming into a child's pose. Elbows can come to the mat just above your ears. You can bring your hands into prayer. Bring them to the back of your head if you like. I do that, and then I walk my elbows a little bit further forward and try and, this sounds weird, but try and breathe my armpits down. So I start to get a little bit of a stretch through the backs of the upper arms. I don't know how you breathe your armpits down, but I'm doing it. Nice big breaths. One more. And release your hands. Coming up onto hands and knees. Turning the toes under and assuming your variation of downward facing dog. Opening that heart big. Hands are splayed. Powerful fingers. Taking a couple more breaths. And coming back up onto your feet, rolling up to stand. And you can orient yourself sideways on your mat. I'm going to take a little hydration break right now. So bringing yourself sideways on your mat. We're going to walk our feet out. So you can bring your hands to your hips and gently walk the feet out. We're going to come into goddess. So not quite as far forward or out, as you would go for wide-legged forward fold. Once your feet are out, bring your heels in so your feet are on a 45-degree angle. Good. Standing up nice and tall. Arms come out in a T. Bend at the elbows and bring your hands or your palms to face your head. Inhale, think about getting tall. Exhale, sinking the hips down, seeing if you can get the thighs near parallel. Coming into goddess. Big fiery pose here. So breathe into it. With each exhale, see if you can sink those hips down. Two more breaths. One more. Good. And rising back up. Oh, that feels nice. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn the toes forward. And then we will come into a gentle forward fold. So hinging at the hips. Coming down. Hands can come down toward the ground, or you could bring hands onto shins. Gonna hang out here for a second. Nice big breaths, relaxing the head and neck. And then rolling up to stand. Good work. You can walk your feet in. We're gonna come into tree. So if you know you'd like the support of a piece of furniture or a wall, go ahead and move there now. And once you're there, standing up as always, feet narrow hip width apart, standing tall. And already your abdomen is engaged and your bum is squeezed in a little bit. Hands come to hands come to hips. Fix your gaze on that non-moving point a few meters ahead of you, to allowing yourself to zone out on it. Transfer your weight over the left foot. Inhale the right knee up. Exhale it to the side, and then your choice. So you could plant it on the shin, the ankle, or toes down, whichever you prefer. Squeezing the bum in. Abs are engaged. Hands can come to heart center. really actively pushing the free foot and the standing leg together. And once you find your balance, you can bring your arms up, growing your tree, seeing what kind of a tree you've got going on today. And keeping in mind, of course, that trees sway in the breeze. And sometimes they fall, but we're resilient trees, so we can just get right back in again. One last breath. If your arms are up, you can bring them back through center and then to the hips. Breathe that free leg forward. So the knee is coming forward. Extend the leg long and then slowly and with control. Whoa, I'm going scenic route here. Bring that foot down to the mat. Good work. So we'll set up for the other side. So again, finding yourself nice and tall before going anywhere, setting that gaze on a non-moving point ahead of you, transferring the weight onto the right leg. Inhale the left up, knee to the side, foot plants against the shin, ankle or toes down, squeezing the bum in, abdomen is engaged, hands can come to heart center. Once you're feeling stable, grow your tree on this side, going for perhaps a completely different kind of tree. Nice big slow breaths, squeezing everything up and in, allowing ourselves to sway. That's totally fine. If your arms are up, draw the hands back toward heart center and then down to the hips. We'll inhale the free leg forward, extend the leg long, and again, lower it slowly and with control. Beautiful. And shake out your standing leg. We're going to come into our squat. So if you would prefer to use a block, you can grab that and bring it underneath where your hips will go. If you're starting from seated, go ahead and make your way down ahead of time. And if you're starting from standing, you're positioned over the block. So in both cases, toes are out on a 45-degree angle and you're nice and tall. So if you're already seated, think about sitting up and not letting yourself slouch forward. Hands can come to heart center. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, sinking down, or if you're already there, bring the outsides of your arms to the insides of the knees. So coming down, if you're coming from standing, once you come down, you can just shuffle a couple of times, making room here before settling into your variation of squat. So finding a place where you can be, whether that's tush on the ground, tush on the block, or tush in the air, whichever you prefer. So it's sitting nice and tall, breathing into it. Just allow yourself to focus in on your breath and rest. Sometimes sitting with the sensation is the hardest part. It is the most challenging part of yoga. But if you can, try and just observe yourself and slow your breath down. One last breath. Good. If you're on your feet, bring your hands down. If you're already down, you're ahead of us. Good. So we'll keep our knees wider than our shoulders and plant the feet ahead of you. If you like a little bit of balance support, bring your hands out to either side. If you want to work the balance a little, hold the arms one in the other. We're going to bring the knees side to side and just allow yourself to roll up onto the outer hip. So slowly and gently going back and forth. And coming back to center, we'll bring the knees together. You can wrap your arms underneath your legs if you wish, bringing your torso in the direction of the shins and allowing the head to relax forward, coming into a nice restorative forward fold. You can stay exactly as you are if you're happy here. If you'd like to experience a little bit more sensation, we'll invite you to extend your legs long and then continue to fold forward while you are actively drawing the toes back toward you. So that's really where the activation happens, is when you engage the toes. So if you took this on and you're not feeling it, just go back to your restorative forward fold. And coming back upright, planting the feet, allowing the knees to open. So you're making a large diamond shape with the legs. You can just flap the knees up and down a couple of times. Just starting to suss out how things are feeling in the hips today. And then think about getting really tall and allowing yourself to come forward. So again, you're not curling in, you're not hunching in, you're being tall and then gently coming forward, coming to the place where you start to feel some resistance and some activation in the hips. This is so different for me. Every time I do this, it's never the same way twice, ever, ever, ever. Usually I have a bit of resistance on my left hip, and today the resistance to this is coming more from the right hip. Interesting. Breathing in, allowing yourself to be soft. One more breath. And bringing yourself back up. If you're still oriented sideways on your mat, bring yourself lengthwise again. So we'll plant the feet and draw your sternum forward and up. We're going to go for another boat. So you can release the legs, draw the shins toward the ceiling. Feet can be apart or together, your choice. Coming into a boat, holding nice and strong. One last breath. Bring the feet back down to the mat. Again, draw your stomach and sternum forward and up, and then release and sink yourself back onto your back slowly with control. And coming all the way back down onto the back. So we'll bring our hands by the hips, palms down. If your legs aren't fully bent, bend them a little more and plant the feet just below your hips, getting ready to come into bridge. You can have your block ready by your hips to come into restorative version. First version, we're going to do active. Second, we'll do restorative. So inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the hips skyward. Coming into our bridge, really active feet and the backs of your arms as well are really pushing down. With each exhale, see if you can get those hips to rise a little bit higher. 2 more breaths. Get a little bit higher. 1 more breath. Raise it as high as you can. Exhale, sink those hips down. And then you can hug your knees in toward your chest. Maybe you'd like to rock a little bit on the lower back, just releasing that nice big back extension. And then we'll plant our feet again and get ready for a more restorative version. So hands are planted down by the hips. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push those hips high again. If you're using your block, grab your block. Bring it sort of at the top of the bum, but before the middle of your back. So there's this nice flat sort of triangle at the back, just settling that area down onto the block. If your hips come down and you need adjustment, just lift them again. Get that block in the sweet spot. And then you can come into your restorative version of bridge. So you could stay exactly like this. If you want to play around with a deeper extension, you could walk your feet down and maybe even stretch the legs out long. I find there's really no middle ground here. You really dig this or you really don't. Some people just love it, other people not so much. Take what you need, what your body is asking for today. Your body is always the one calling the shots. Nice big breaths here. If you're in deep extension, anytime you feel like coming out, come on out. One last slow breath. On your exhale, push your hips skyward again and take the block out, lowering the hips down, and then gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Good. We're going to come into pigeon next. So if you know that you'd like the assistance of a block or a strap to do your pigeon, just have those props ready now. So we'll leave the right foot planted. Left foot crosses at the ankle just below the right knee, and the left knee comes out to the side. So you're making a figure 4 with the legs. So the first variation is that you could just stay exactly like this. Since most of us, our arms aren't particularly long, this is where you can use your block by bringing the block to the inside of the left knee and then using the pressure of the left hand to just gently encourage that hip opening. I find this is like a pretty relaxing way to do it. So that's option 1. Option 2, either with a strap or with your hands, hug your right thigh in toward you, take a hold behind the right thigh and continue drawing it in, just making sure that the left foot remains activated. So left toes are drawing back toward the left knee to protect that knee. The lower right leg can totally relax. So finding your way into reclining pigeon. And once you find a version that works for you, just settling in, imagining that you've got some lungs down in that left hip, and you're just breathing right into that space. Big, slow breaths. Challenging yourself just to come to a place of stillness and just observe the sensation without reacting to it. 2 more breaths. And you can release the right leg, bring the right foot down, uncross the left leg, and we'll set up for the other side. So crossing the right ankle just below the left knee, right knee coming out to the side. So if you're taking this version, grab your block, bring it to the inside of the right knee, and then place your right hand against it, and just providing some gentle encouragement for that hip to open. Make sure that the right toes are staying active and peeling back toward that right knee. That is always crucial. If you have a strap or your hands, you want to hug the left thigh in, take a hold behind the thigh, continue drawing it toward yourself, making sure that, again, keep the right toes peeled back toward the right knee. So really active foot. The left lower leg and foot can just totally relax. So finding your version of reclining pigeon and just settling in. Mm, 2 more slow breaths. And release. Uncross the right leg. And then you can draw both knees in toward your chest. Just hugging them in gently for just a moment. And then you can bring the feet back down to the mat. So we're going to cross the right leg over the left. Pick up your hips and inch them over just a little bit toward the right. Arms come out into a T, or if you need to negotiate your room, so you can bend the arms, cactus arms. And you can also have your block ready. It's not necessary, but you could have your block over by your left hip. And then on an exhale, gently lower the knees over to the left, coming into reclining twist. Make sure that that right shoulder stays in full contact with the mat. So if you find that your right shoulder is rolling up, come out of your twist a little bit. Maybe move that block toward the left hip so that your weight can fully rest on the block. And once you're in your twist, just nice deep breaths and allowing yourself to melt into it. If you wanted to explore twisting a little more deeply, as long as both shoulders are really firmly planted, you could turn your head to look over your right shoulder. Just an option, not a necessity. Two more breaths. Gently bring your head back to center if it was anywhere else. Slowly bring the knees upright, uncross the leg, straighten your hips out. And then if you're going to use your block, bring it over to the right side. And again, we'll set up. So arms out wide into a T. Cross the left leg over the right with no gap between the thighs. Move the hips ever so slightly over to the left. And then allow both knees to lower to the right, maybe just coming down on their own or maybe coming down onto the supportive block, your choice. Just find a place where you can let yourself come into the twist and really relax into it, making sure the left shoulder blade stays firmly plugged down into the mat. So if that left shoulder is rolling up, come out of your twist, maybe move that block toward your hip, prop yourself up a little bit. I don't want you to hold anything up. I want you to just allow yourself to really relax. So that's where the block comes in, is that you're not really holding your legs. And then if you're feeling good, you want to explore going a little deeper, you could turn your head to look over your left shoulder. Just an option, again, not required. And bring your head back up to center if it was anywhere else. Gently lifting the legs, uncrossing, and then setting the hips straight again. And we're going to take any last movements that you would like for your practice. So maybe you just want to hug the knees in toward the chest. Maybe you want to come into happy baby, whatever works for you. If you have shoulder stand in your practice and you know how to safely get into shoulder stand, you can go ahead and take that. Any last movements you like, go ahead and enjoy that now. And when you're feeling ready to come into your Shavasana, you can prepare yourself for that. So perhaps you want to grab some props. Maybe you want a little support under the knees. Maybe you'd like a little bit of water, a sweater, whatever it is you need. You can go ahead and take that. Bring yourself into a comfortable reclining position. And then you could choose to have your hands at your side or bring your left hand onto your heart, your right hand onto your belly. And just like we did at the beginning of class, I'll invite you to take some big resetting breaths. Inhale through the nose, holding for a moment at the top, and then big loud sigh. Let it go. If you wanted, you could open your mouth really wide and stick your tongue out for lion's breath. Another big inhale, filling as full as your lungs can go, holding for a moment, and then big sigh out. One more time. Inhale, hold, sigh it out. Releasing energy, releasing effort, releasing heat, and just allowing your body to become incredibly soft. Feeling gravity gently pulling you down into the mat and allowing your body to succumb to a deep state of relaxation. You have done everything that is required of you. You've put in the effort, and now it is time for you to find stillness and peace, quiet, so that you can absorb the benefits of your practice. Just allow yourself to stay in this moment in time and space. Smooth breath. If at any point you find that your mind wanders to places that you'd rather it didn't, just gently coax your attention back toward your breath. Allow yourself to enjoy this state of relaxation, and I'll let you know when it's time to go. You can begin to bring your awareness back to your place in space and time. Begin to invite some gentle movement back into your body. Maybe wiggle fingers and toes. Perhaps a big stretch. Whatever feels right. When you're feeling ready, you can roll over onto your right side, pausing there, and then bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And as you're sitting up, just feeling your sits bones planted in contact with the ground. Spine is long. The shoulders are down away from your ears. You can bring your hands to heart center. Take a deep inhale. Lower your chin to your chest. This one is for those of us who struggle with the more difficult emotions. The truth will set you free, but first, it will piss you off. That's Gail Sheedy. Thank you for joining me for practice today. Namaste. Okay, and